What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host this evening. Joining me, as always, is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And welcoming back to the podcast, we have Teresa.
Hey, everybody.
And Haley.
Hello.
Now, because we have 15 new anime to talk about for this spring anime preview, we're going to cut right to the chase. But before we get started, how about we all do general impressions of the season so far? Cameron, I'll start with you. What do you think about spring 2021 so far?
First off, anime industry, can you all just keep your foot off the pedal? You gave us 30 anime to watch this season. That's insane, and that's not counting the sequels and the ongoing series. I don't think we needed 30, but in general, just from part 1 and part 2, I don't think it's as good as the winter season, but the ones that stand out really do stand out. I think we had to dig a little deeper for the ones that we didn't like, because there weren't any X arms or redo of healers to look for. So, but that's what I have to say.
Yeah, thank God we don't have another X arm. Teresa, what about you? General impressions of the season?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot to chew on this season. I definitely, I would say almost everything. There was none I really hated. I was just kind of like, this is a little bit boring. So I thought it was, very satisfying. And it was a lot of anime I wouldn't have expected made into anime. And some of it surprised me and turned out very well.
Nice. Haley?
Yeah, this is just too much goddamn anime. It's just really eyes blending together. I truly wish half of these got picked up by Netflix just so we wouldn't have to think about them for a couple of months. But overall, I agree. I don't think anything was nearly as bad as the worst from last season. I think in general, the quality is a little lower than last season, just as an overall point, but there's still some really great stuff in here. And the weird stuff in this season is kind of delightfully weird instead of boringly weird. So there's always that too.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. This has kind of been the most consistent season, despite it being overwhelming with the quantity. At least it's not as things don't get as bad as X-Arm, but I don't think any of them quite as excellent as some of the best from last season. But I've been saying more often than not that yes, I want to continue this series or that series.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I will agree. I'd rather it be mediocre but weird and interesting than just being the boring kind, which takes us to our first category. We split these up into genre categories this time. So we're going to be covering sports, let's see, isekai and fantasy, other, which are shows that don't really have a category or are enough to consider, to have for their own category. And then we have slice of life. We will be covering the other genre categories next time. And so, do y'all remember that Higurashi anime that came out 2 seasons ago, during the fall 2020, and it got people really interested in Higurashi again?
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was really good. How much you want to bet Battle Athletes Victory Restart does none of that?
I have no idea who the target audience for this is at all.
How are you even going to summarize this show? It's got 17 plots in one.
Okay, so basically this show has a bunch of humans that live all across our Milky Way galaxy, and they are competing in this athletic tournament to be the Cosmo Beauty of the entire universe. I guess it's a sports-centric Miss Universe pageant. And we follow our literal potato coon, a potato farmer from Earth, as she makes friends and competes in multiple athletic challenges alongside the other female cast members. This was based off of an anime and manga from the early 90s, and I don't remember anyone asking for a reboot. And I'm downplaying what else is on, because Haley, what did you think about this show?
This show is wild. It's I don't think it has any idea really what it wants to be, because in the first 2 episodes we get the whole plot about the galactic Miss Universe kind of plot. Then there's a civil war going on the moon, which plays into quite a few different things. There is a contestant who may be a sex trafficking victim. That came out of nowhere. And then there is a cop who is investigating something to do with this competition, who it was quite a ride watching his journey from episode 2 to episode 3, because first he's introduced and I'm like, oh cool, a non-stereotypical Black character, he seems pretty neat. Then his car blows up and he dies, or so I thought, because then he was at some point revived in episode 3 with little to no fanfare. And my notes are all over the place because there's 35 different plots. And also there is a battle cube where people train that is a sphere. It's not a cube, it's a sphere.
False marketing.
When you say like nobody was asking for this reboot, for sure, but also nobody was asking for 95% of these plots in this reboot either. Like, this seems like this was probably in the 90s, some sort of horny fan service butt show. And if that was what it was in the 90s and that's all it stuck to, great, awesome. There's a niche for that. I don't know if they kind of want that audience, it seems like, because there's really well animated butts in this for some reason. Everything else looks like ass. Like, literally just, it looks crappy. Sorry. No.
We get it.
Yeah, everything else but the butts looks terrible in this show. And honestly, I could spend 2 hours trying to decipher what the full plot of this is.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think?
I'm confounded by the kangaroo that makes her late to her first day somehow, and everyone's just like accepting the kangaroo exists and hangs out with the cop sometimes. I'm just like, where is this going? And the potato joke is old by episode 3.
Teresa, did you think the kangaroo was a competitor like I did in the Galactic Girl games?
For a minute, I thought it was like a mascot. Then I thought it was like only she can see it. Everyone else wasn't paying attention to it. But then in the 3rd episode, it did bother that other girl. I'm like, okay, so it's not like hallucination. So I'm thinking too hard about it, I think.
Mike, what did you think?
In my notes, I described this as a Mad Lib because nothing makes sense. I couldn't for the life of me figure out like what any of these like subplots had to do with each other. It's kind of like the writers are just kind of bored one afternoon, trying to figure out like what is our next anime going to be. Everyone had all these like different ideas, and then the last, the head of the studio just walks in and says yes.
Yeah, this show wasn't good, and like I know like the original is like a fan favorite in the retro anime circles, but this one looked terrible. The animation was janky. It was very cheap looking, color wise, and just the designs. Like when I think of like a sports anime, I'm thinking like, oh, they're gonna put all the sakuga and such into the movement and into the sports sections themselves, but then it's just like everyone, it's like, oh, this is the intense running, but it's like everyone looks like they're going for a mild morning jog. So, and yeah, this show had a butt fetish, because a lot the camera leers at the butts, and it's like, oh, here's this one character who's a doctor but also a pervert, and it's like, oh, okay. And the one cyborg girl, could they not have made the robot parts look not like she was putting like pantyhose over her arm? Because that's what it looked like. There was no indication that she was a robot. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know those. I was like, why does she have a thing about Oh, she has prosthetics. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. No, and I've just seen these characters before. This show might have been important back in the day, but now that we've had like a glut of sports anime with female focused casts, it's hard. It looks dated, and it's just not all that interesting. Like y'all said, the plot goes all over the place. I'm still gonna laugh that the cop dies, but then it's just like, I've come back. Then they're like, whoa, how did you come back? No idea. No.
What might make this show better is if when they finally get around to dubbing it, they do it like Ghost Story style, where they just kind of lean into the ridiculousness and go completely off the handle.
I would love for them to make the kangaroo like what Teresa said, no, only one person can see the kangaroo, and then every once in a while it's like, does no one see the kangaroo? Am I the only one?
The kangaroo is like Kafka from Zetsubo Sensei, possesses someone one person at a time through the whole series. Let's rumba. Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is the weakest one for me. I mean, at least for the sports anime. It just, nobody was wanting this. It felt like an Ashcan film kind of thing, the thing that companies do to keep the rights.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's move on. We got Burning Kabaddi, the sports anime that is basically about full contact tag. We have Tatsuya Yoigoshi, a once nationally recognized soccer player, is now a first-year student at Nokin High School. Due to his developed hatred for sports, he has abandoned his previous aspirations to become a famous live streamer on the internet. Joy. One day, Soma Azamichi, a first year on a kabaddi team, seeks to recruit Yoigoshi and spontaneously interrupts his live stream. Without any expectations, Yoigoshi follows Soma to the school gym, where he witnesses second years Kyohei Misumi and Shinji Date engage in the primal contact sport of kabaddi. Despite ridiculing the rule of play, Yoigoshi is stunned by the intensity of the round. Because of an enticing deal and slight coercion, he agrees to settle the prospect of his recruitment through the most invigorating way. A battle of kabaddi, a team sport played empty-handed. I was really upset about this one being bad. I was really looking forward to this one. I like sports anime that have like a different hook or like some kind of gimmick to them. And this one, is about the sport of kabaddi, which, like I said, is full contact tag. And this one looks so cheap. The action's not all that stellar, and I don't remember half of the characters' names. And one of them just makes me want to watch One Punch Man. I'm sure it's obvious which one that is. Haley, what did you think?
Yeah, this is not good. I think there's really just not a lot to say about it because it's every generic shonen sports show, but the lead is the most unlikable person you can think of. Yeah, a lot of my notes are just about how bizarrely framed this show is, like how having the unlikable streamer who hates sports but also seems to just hate everything and is generally unpleasant and also takes a hard left into being homophobic in episode 2. Like, why is this our central perspective character? Especially considering some of the other characters do seem like they have a little life to them, like Soma, the bald Saitama knockoff. He's loud. And I have notes that say, please stop screaming, because I think his voice actor is just screaming the whole time. But he's
accurate.
Interesting. He's driven. He has motives and goals. The other side characters aren't very fleshed out, but they don't seem like human garbage. So they might be interesting to follow. And the other big part of the problem with this show is, so kabaddi is basically, from my understanding, like extreme tag.
Yeah.
And the first 3 episodes of this show really only show us extreme tag matches between teams of 2. And this really feels like a show where they needed to launch us into some full contact sports action to really get us invested very quickly. Without that, the show that is 90%, or the sport that is 90% of this show, just isn't very interesting the way it's being presented right now.
Yeah, it does like a bad job of introducing people to the sports.
Yeah, which is a shame because I like the way the show explains the sport by using those 3D model sequences. Like, those are really well done. I think that's an interesting way to showcase rules for a sport. But the actual play that we see, which I would say of the 90 minutes that I watched was about 60 minutes of what I'd seen, is just very slow and not grabbing.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, I was bored out of my mind.
Mm.
I didn't watch it. I kind of skipped towards the end of it. The main character is not likable. I immediately felt that, and I'm just naturally not a sports anime or regular sports person. So like explaining tag in such a long, rounded way, I was like, just play it. And then when they did he's just like so narcissistic, and then the weird like coach trying to tempt him with like attractive boys, that just like turned me right off. So yeah.
Yeah. Mike, what did you think?
So right now I have a bottom 3 main protagonist list. I'm not sure where Tatsuya falls. He's like, I think he's kind of bouncing between 1 and 2. We'll get to the other 2 later, but like he along with the fact that they don't actually get to like the actual sport. Mostly the first 3 episodes are just like practicing and explaining the sport, and also the repetition of kabaddi, kabaddi, kabaddi for like at least half of the dialogue.
Yeah, no, and I will say it's false marketing if you look at the promotional images, because it looks cool, it looks stylish and polished. That's not what the anime looks like. This one, I think, fell victim to the fact that the director of this anime and the studio that's making it, TMS Entertainment, are working on like multiple different anime this season. So this one got the short end of the resources. And
yeah, you can definitely feel it.
And yeah, when the first 3 episodes are basically overly explaining kabaddi, that's not a good sign, because then it's like, okay, 3 episodes are up, I don't care. And that's a shame. Like I said, I always like a good sports anime with a twist or like a different sport to follow. But oh well, it's a disappointing one.
I will say at the very least what this has over Battle Athletes is that it does explain the sport.
Oh, that's a good point.
The sports were really scraping the bottom of the barrel this season. Like that's a positive point in this show.
No, and I liked some of the characters. I wish the Saitama ripoff was the main character, because I think that was a good thing to go with Bakuden, which we'll talk about soon. And I liked the 2 other himbos, though the one with no pupils freaks me out a little.
I think No Pupils is my favorite character, just because all he cares about is his musculature and other people's musculature, and I'm like, reliable.
No, it's like there's little parts of enjoyment for this one, but I think people can skip this one if they haven't already. Now we have Farewell, My Dear Kramer. I kind of want to say it's Creamer, but that's not it. This is the one soccer anime of this season, and I was kind of looking forward to this one. So this show is set in like a time period where women's soccer is losing interest and popularity, and we follow Nozomi Onda, and who wants to keep the sport alive and joins basically the underdog team of like sports. Of like women's soccer teams, and doesn't like go with like the obvious like protagonist, like the best people, like the best athletes and such. And Haley, what did you say this show was like? And
everyone on this show looks like a fish. That's my main takeaway from this show. Everyone on this show looks like a fish. And it's unfortunate. The design, I don't want to say that this show is poorly animated. It is extremely poorly designed.
I would say it's poorly animated in a lot of ways, though.
Yeah. So I think your summary kind of highlights my main problem with this show, besides the fact that everyone is a fish person. Okay, when I say they look like fish, it's like they've got eyes that are kind of spaced weirdly to the side of their head, and everyone has fish lips. It's insanely distracting. Except for the one girl who looks like Miria from My Hero Academia with the dot eyes, and she's not explained. And I don't understand why she looks like that. But the main problem with this show, and I think your summary kind of speaks to it, is I don't think it knows who it wants to follow. Who our central character is. Because the first episode focuses on 3 different junior high potential female soccer stars. And they're all interesting. Kind of a little bit of a confusing first episode, but it's a good point to get you in. Like, you think, okay, these 3 girls are going to bounce off each other pretty good. And then episode 2, we shift to focus on the new coach for the high school team that has all of these girls on it, along with a couple of other girls we haven't met. And the show just kind of assumes we know who they are. And the show is very like picking up volume 7 of a Shonen Jump manga and just going from there. Like, that was the vibe I got. By episode 3 kind of evens out a bit, but it's still kind of confusing. It's still confusing as to who's our main character. Who are we supposed to identify with as an audience? Is it the girls? Is it the coach? Is it the rival coach? Is it the boys who are rooting on the female classmates that they have that are playing soccer? And I will say that this was, I think, my biggest disappointment for the season, because you don't get a lot of female-led sports anime, period. Much less one about something like soccer, which is popular, but not as popular in the West as it is worldwide. So I was really looking forward to this. I was really hoping this was going to be like, from my childhood, Princess Nine, the baseball, the girls.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I was really hoping that it would really swing for the fences like that, and I got this weird CGI fish looking thing. So
go ahead.
I'm very sad about this.
I remember in the chat you made like a parody version of the crab people chant from South Park. It's like fish people, fish people.
That's exactly what this show. I feel so bad. Like, I wanted to really like this show, but they're all fish people and I don't know what's going on.
Well, at least the design decision of them looking like fish people is consistent. I wish they didn't do that with the heads phasing through the fences like every single time.
Oh God, I forgot about that. That is bad.
that got really distracting. Like the 3rd or 4th time I saw it, I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on here?
Teresa, what did you think about this show?
I didn't know what to expect. I'm very confused by the title. I thought somehow that would shine to the light, and I'm like, I still don't get it. But yeah, it was not my favorite, but it was just mediocre, and the design was bad, so I felt like it was a little inoffensive, but definitely won't be continuing. And I didn't know anyone's names, and I was like, you know what, I don't care.
I mean, that's the show's fault. It wasn't keeping any of our attentions. Mike, what did you think?
Pretty much my problems are the same that Haley mentioned, that if not for the very poor character designs, I could see myself kind of warming up to this. Like I was kind of hoping, based on just reading like the plot synopsis, that this would be sort of like the anime version of Bend It Like Beckham. Instead, it's not really that at all. It is kind of hard to invest in any particular character because they all don't really get enough time like under the spotlight. But yeah, really the biggest thing holding this back is the janky animation, and there's a lot of jank.
Like, even in the opening, when it's like it's supposed to be a big pump up to introduce the show, like when the big chorus part hits and you see one of our main characters running with the ball, it looks really awkward and such. And like, again, what if like Studio Mappa got their hands on this show? They would have probably made this, or like get the director of Jujutsu Kaisen and the God of High School. Like, they would have made this like soccer, like really eventful, like really like gripping and such, like at least visual wise. But yeah, the animation is just clunky. And there was this one sequence where, like, when in the second and third episode, when they're going against that champion team, there's this one moment where this one character does this like tap dancing in place kind of movement with her legs, and it's like the smoothest animation I've seen throughout the show so far. And it's just like, well, wait a minute, why isn't the animation like this scene? And yeah, I don't know who to follow. You have like the one girl who may not be trustworthy with the silver hair. You got the fanatic who should be the main character but is not. And then you have the team like Haley said, the team captain. And yeah, there's just not a whole lot to this soccer anime. I'm really disappointed by this one too. Like, really, the sports anime suffered this season. Because if we're going to talk about, if there's just one sports anime people should watch, and if they haven't already, they should just head on over to Crunchyroll and watch Bakuden, or as the translated, Backflip. Which is, so Shotaro Futaba has always loved sports, but he never became more than a bench warmer on his middle school baseball team. That sucks. After noticing a group of gymnasts practicing in the park, he decides to watch a rhythmic gymnastics tournament on a whim. Although displaying an exhilarating performance at the competition, the show Shukan High School's Rhythmic Gymnastics Club places second to last due to penalties acquired from not fielding a full 6-man roster. Basically, Shotaro joins, like, he's in middle school when he sees this, and then goes to this high school to join because he just feels driven to learn group gymnastics. So, why is this the one sports anime this season that has everything that the other shows are lacking? This is a great anime. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time watching the 3 episodes, and I definitely want to, like, after all this is done, want to jump back into it. Haley, what did you think?
So this is really a great show. It's funny, like last season we had the 2 skating anime and we were trying to figure out which of them would imitate Yuri on Ice, and then neither of them did. And now Bakuten has all of the Yuri on Ice vibes. But this is, if you had to pick one show to just sit there and watch with a smile on your face and enjoy the niceness of all of the characters, this is it. This is this is the most good vibe nice show of the season. That doesn't mean that there's not stakes. There's definitely some drama, but I really appreciate that everyone on this show likes each other and is clearly invested in each other's success. Like, that's such a small, silly thing. But I really like how they've manufactured drama not out of personality clashes or forced miscommunication. The drama is in the fact that this team is not used to fielding 6 people. Now they have 6 people, and they've got to rework everything they know from the ground up. And one of these people doesn't know how to backflip, which is the entire premise and name of the show. So it's hard to say more about it, just because it really sweeps you into its world. It's just super nice. I really like the rival character because he's not a butthole, and he's not even really a rival. He's just awkward and not great at communicating, but no one hates him. I keep writing that his name is Sasuke. It's not, and he's definitely not a Sasuke, but that's just what I've been calling him.
At first, I was thinking like, oh, you mean the kid with the silver hair, like that's on the rival team, or do you mean like the dumb redhead bimbo or himbo?
Yeah, and the dark-haired genius kid is great too. This also is the only anime that had a running joke that I laughed at every time, which is that the coach has a wife that may or may not exist. every time it got brought up in such a new, interesting way. And I love that the joke isn't, oh, this guy obviously doesn't have a wife. It's nobody quite knows if he does, and everyone is afraid to ask. It's great. Just absolutely wonderful. And yeah, that's about it. It's wonderful. It's fluffy. Everyone's a floof. I would buy plush dolls of all of these characters. It's great.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think?
Yes, I absolutely loved it. I did gymnastics as a kid, and oddly, the boys' gymnastics team was always well funded and better than our girls' one.
Boo.
But on TV,
You deserve
in
better.
Olympics, yeah, it was just they went to state once, and then they're like, "Oh, invest in them. they'll just win every year. And then they did win every year. But I was like, but you don't invest in the women. So we would win if you gave us more money.
Yeah.
Like they had a locker room and we didn't.
Lame.
So
Lame.
yeah, that's whack. So it was very near and dear to my heart, especially since it was rhythmic gymnastics. So it's like like you have the dance element and the coordination, and the animation was just beautiful, and it made me want to squee every time I watched it. So I loved it.
There's a real passion behind all the characters, and yes, we've seen all these types of characters before, but it's all in the execution, and the animation is great. They probably could have made this a theatrical film series if they really wanted to. And I love like the green hairs animation. I love just like how expressive he is, and I love that he's an entertaining manly man in a way. It's like he likes trucks, he's got action movies, and he's got hardcore leather jackets. And I like the one scene where they all try to like basically hustle the main character and say like, oh, my family runs a fish market. Oh yeah, well my family runs I forgot what all of them did, but you know what I mean. Like trying to promote their businesses to the main character. Mike, what did you think about this show?
So you guys remember how last season we talked about the Idol anime and how one of the problems was that all the characters just kind of felt the same?
Yep.
Yeah, that is not a problem at all with Backflip. I never in a million years thought I would be this invested in a show about rhythmic gymnastics, but that's what happens when you pour like blood, sweat, and tears into like the animation, the character designs, the music. This is just great. I can't really think of any like flaws with the show. It's just all the characters are likable. Like the show really gets you invested in the sport that everyone is invested in, which is kind of important for the genre.
Yeah. I will say I loved when we got to the rival team and it's like, oh no, here comes the drama. But they're just about as doofy as our main characters, and that's what I like about. That's what I like about it. It's like the only thing different is that their outfits are like burning red, but I like how like the two head captains are like both redheads, and then they're just like, oh yeah, well I'm tougher. Oh yeah, well I'm tougher, and then everybody's like, let's just chill, or they're just like, oh my god.
One thing I forgot to mention is that I really appreciate that this show never goes to the well of creating drama from the fact that this is a rhythmic gymnastics team. There's never like this is a girly sport, or no one ever assumes that these men would be doing anything else but gymnastics. And the gymnastics is inspiring other men. That's a huge through line in this show, is other people being inspired by the beauty of this sport. And I think it's a really wonderful way to get people invested into this world of male rhythmic gymnastics without going to kind of cliched or potentially problematic wells.
Right.
Yeah, there's like zero sexism in this, which is pretty refreshing.
No like homophobic undertones either. It's like it's really impressive how supportive all the characters are to one another. I love like when they're rewatching their work and it's just like, the new guy's not backflipping well, but we can't really talk because, and then the green hair guy goes like, we really suck.
I really love. I wish there were a few more women in this show, but the one we've got, the pink haired blase sort of manager chick, is fantastic.
She is really good.
She sits there on her phone the whole time recording and then shoving everyone's failure back in their face. It's pretty great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite of the season. So at least the sports anime ends on a high note. So we get into the fantasy isekai territory, and kudos to the genre that it didn't flood the season this time, because we only have like 4, and only like 2 of them are pure isekai, while the other one's a VR MMO, and the other one is just pure fantasy. So let's start with Full Dive. So basically, the VR MMO scene is big in this world, and there was one game called Kiwame Quest that was set out to be the most realistic, grounded VR MMO of all time. But then it vanished because everyone was like, I don't want to play this. So they didn't. And our main character, who used to be a runner, but then gave up on it and decided to be the best at all the VR MMOs. He goes to pick up this new game, but then goes to a game store that is run by this suspicious pink purple haired woman and tells him like, hey, here, buy this game, which is Kiwame Quest. And then he gets into it, and the whole gimmick is that it is so realistic that the NPCs do not get that they are NPCs. No video game gimmicks or little detail or design quirks. And originally, I think this show was marketed as like, we're going to do a huge shit post about and make fun of Sword Art Online, because that's one of the few isekai like VR MMO animes that just doesn't seem to stop or ever end, and everyone likes to dunk on it. So they made an anime version of that, and I am very disappointed about how this one turned out. I actually watched all the episodes that are out as of right now, and I'll get into a little bit of it. But Haley, what did you think?
So this is one of the ones where I feel like the fact that we watch 3 episodes of these shows is a good thing, because if we were only going off of the first episode, I would have said this was my favorite premiere of the season. And the quickness from which it went from my favorite of the season to a flaming dumpster pile was truly, truly magnificent. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a show where it went from so good to so bad so quickly. I think the first episode really walks a wonderful dark humor line and kind of slowly builds up to its centerpiece, which is our lead accidentally killing his best friend in the game and realizing he's stuck like this in this horrible, horrible game. And it doesn't, like, I was refreshed that the first episode didn't have a whole lot of fan service, even though the girl running the game store has an anatomically impossible body type. And I was impressed after last season that no one was introduced boob first. But then I got to that ending theme that's just girls' butts jiggling all over the screen. And I was like, I wonder if this show is going to change soon. And it did. It did. Episode 2 was kind of middling. There were still some funny bits, like where he's just sitting there poking the leaf, expecting it to just randomly turn into medicine, and not realizing the realism is that he has to actually get a mortar and pestle and grind his own magic herbs. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. But a lot of the jokes in that episode were just people screaming at each other, which is my biggest pet peeve in anime ever. Like, screaming is not a joke. Like, if it's not funny when you don't scream it, it's not funny when it's screamed. And that was a lot of episode 2. And then episode 3 turned into piss porn at the end.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I wanted to give that full rundown of like my thoughts, because this show really makes you think it's going to be something special in the beginning. And it sucks that it did not live up to that promise at all. And in a way that's honestly befuddling. Like, it didn't have to go like that. I think there's clearly somebody on the team that has a pretty good sense of humor in there. One of the writers clearly was having a good time in episode 1. That leaf joke was pretty good. The sequence inside of the loot shop where the guy ends up price gouging him because he killed his best friend, I thought that was pretty funny too. And then there was literally not a single joke for the first 15 minutes of episode 3. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, what happened here? Like, I'm still kind of even trying to work out how it ended up being so bad,
Yeah.
Also, it didn't help that Funimation had the second episode of the show on Funimation was borked for like a week and a half.
Cool.
So, like, it kept showing the subtitles for episode 1 on episode 2, and I don't know if that was a me issue or somebody else issue, so that didn't help. But once I figured it out, it still didn't really hold up. I know I've said a lot about this one, but yeah, just if you want to laugh really hard, maybe watch episode 1 and then make up your own fanfic that finishes this plot.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, it's pretty mediocre. I'm not a fan of like scatological humor. So
Mhm.
episode 3, I was like, I'm out.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So I just the disconnect between the Riona and him, like she's like, "You're gonna come back?" After he's like, "I almost died and I hate it." Like episode 2 and episode 3, and I was like, I don't understand how this is entertaining. Um, so yeah, and also the character's just like that sad gamer character he used to run and now he doesn't. I was like, I'm not interested.
No. Mike, what did you think?
I thought I was really going to like this after the first episode, because I was kind of getting into the idea of this, this virtual reality, like super immersive video game. Like, but then, but then as soon as like episode 2 and episode 3 start, it's like they start to go in a they take the realism of the game a little too far, and a lot of moments in episode 3 reminded me a lot of the things I really despised about Redo Healer,
Oh gosh. Yeah.
especially once the main character is in the the torture room. That's when I'm like, okay, I can't. And one of the best things about episode 3, and one of the best things about our 3 episode rule, is that episode 3 gives you the perfect out. Like, if you don't want to continue the series after that, you don't have to, because that's like at the end of the episode, the main character's like, all right, screw this, I'm done, I'm not playing this game anymore.
Yeah. No, it's like I was, because put a quarter in a jar. I'm going to reference Konosuba again, and we're going to talk about that show one day soon, hopefully. I was ready for this to be another dark, cynical comedy takedown of like the VR MMO anime scene. And yes, it's funny that the whole gimmick is, again, the game is so realistic to a fault that it's not fun to play. And I know that's some people's kind of thing. That's not mine. I'd rather a game be fun. And yeah, when it got to the third episode, I was ready to quit and I was not going to watch the other episodes. But then I decided to today watch 4, 5, and 6. And the pissing thing actually comes back in episode 4. And they dedicate a whole episode about why it affected our main character so much. Because it turns out the reason why he quit running was because at a track meet he fell down and accidentally pissed himself, and everybody saw.
Are you freaking serious?
No, thank
Good
you.
lord.
Yes, I'm not kidding, but I wish I was.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because that's just, oh my god, that's so bad.
It's bad, and it's like, I mean, like, yes, that would be traumatic, and people suck because they were like especially because there was a silver medal Olympic runner, and he was there to maybe scout him, and yeah, and then it's just like he kind of gets like he gets convinced to go back to the game after the incredibly busty female lead tells him to like watch this walkthrough of the one person who actually beat this game. And there were a few funny moments about that, but then the girl just like, if someone beat this game, I would absolutely date them, and heck, I might even marry them. So he gets convinced to go back through horniness. And I mean, listen, I'm not going to say it's like, hey, this girl tells you to play this game. It's like, okay. But then it slowly starts to pick up a little more. I'm not going to say it gets better. His character gets lucky that like, oh, his crimes are like, okay, they're swept away, like they've been gotten rid of. And one of the few things that was kind of funny still was the yandere childhood friend, the sister of the childhood friend that he accidentally kills, goes on like a sadistic, like, I'm going to kill you spree, like constantly getting at him. And the animation on her is great. I think Belt Princess from Taoteba Last Dungeon is still better and better handled.
Well, I miss Belt Chan.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for that show to get a second season. It sets itself up to get a second season, but we'll see. And there's this one moment near the end, which is kind of funny that I'm going to describe it and it's going to sound bad, but the punchline's actually great. You'll have to kind of trust me on that. He remembers from the walkthrough, and the walkthrough's just like, you killed your best friend. You suck. Go die. And that's it. That's the whole walkthrough for that part. If that happens.
Oh boy.
And it's just like, what is the one thing that would distract your best friend from killing you? He grabs the girl's chest, and that's bad and gross and all that stuff. But then, because he thinks like, oh, this is just like an anime in other games, like she'll be distracted, and it almost happens. But then the girl's just like, what the heck did you think was going to happen? Like, I'm at an age where guys would grab me. Like, that's not going to work. And it almost works as a joke, except it's still creepy. But it's like, at least they kind of call out the skeeviness of certain kind of gamers and such.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the only reason it's saved. But then it tries to have heart. Like, he actually gets her to not want to kill him. And then he apologizes to his best friend that he killed, and his ghost disappears off into wherever ghosts go in this game. And it's like, oh, well, that's kind of nice. He's getting better. It's like, it's the whole goal is like he was at his lowest point, but then it's like you just pick yourself back up and you get past that hurdle. But then it's like, but wait a minute, this show's a comedy. I don't care about the story in this game. It feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And also it's like I'm getting kind of tired of this when fantasy anime start using elements of like more modern clothing, and that comes in the form of the Inquisitor, the girl with the red hair and the saw like weapon.
What is holding up her outfit?
Nothing.
Yeah, like that was
Anime.
that bothered me a lot because it is a flat-chested girl basically wearing two squares of leather laced together like a shoe on top of her boobs, and I was just like,
not a good design at
for
all.
an anime outfit, this is illogical. This isn't gonna work.
No, and I here's the only thing that I got amusement from when she like pops up again to actually protect the main character from the blonde childhood friend. I kept thinking of the Monty Python joke, like no one expects the Spanish Inquisition because it's an inquisitor and such. But anyway, yeah, I don't recommend this one, and I just rather watch Konosuba. And when I can already think about like, man, I just want to watch Konosuba, that's not a good sign for your fantasy isekai video game anime thing. Yeah.
The only note I have left on this, there's the OP is really great, and I think one of the best jokes in the whole show is in the OP, which is that the lead's gaming chair is actually spotlighted like a character in the like it's literally just a freeze frame of chair, and I'm like I said, someone on this show is having fun and is good at writing jokes, but they're not given the reins the whole time.
Right. No, I forgot about that. That's great. So moving on, the next one is our other isekai, or our first isekai of two. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. That's a long title. These anime with these long titles, man. So basically, it's about this young woman who was, like spin the wheel. How does she get warped into a new world?
Truck.
Yeah. No, she just dies of exhaustion, just usual. Or did she die from getting hit by a truck? I forgot.
No, it was exhaustion. I was making a joke.
Oh yeah, no.
If you just someone get killed by a truck, Zombieland Saga season 2 started. So
I wish I could have watched Zombieland Saga instead of some of these, but we covered the new stuff. So basically, she gets warped into this new world, and she's told by the goddess, who apparently has a thing for this for the ladies, to be like, hey, I'm going to make sure your life's okay, and you're going to just be fine for the rest of your life. Just go chill and whatnot, and just do the least amount of work possible. And so she does that. She takes that to heart, and she grinds the lowest level enemies, and those are slimes, for 300 years, and then doesn't realize how much of a god-like character she is. And then it turns into an anime of just like all these people, from dragons to generic fantasy parties, saying like, "Hey, I want to fight you because I heard you're strong." And then she beats him One Punch Man style, which is like a simple spell and whatnot. But then it turns into a female-driven harem comedy, where and slice of life kind of stuff also, where she gets a house full of different fantasy girls, which include a dragon girl, some slime girls, an elf, and I'm sure plenty more. But since I stopped at episode 3, I'm not sure which other ones will pop up. So Haley, what did you think?
There's a lot of anime that I feel like we're kind of all over the place this year or this season. This one less so. I think episode 1, the pacing was really off. Episode 2 was like, I think, the best encapsulation of the best parts of the show. So that's where you get, our lead is strong and responsible and a really nice central character. I think she's really great to follow. She's funny, genuinely funny, not too full of herself, just like someone I'd want to hang out with.
Right.
And episode 2 is about how 2 small anthropomorphic slime children come to her, and one thinks that the witch is her mom and the other wants to murder her. And all the jokes landed. The very cute, very well done, great animation there. When the witch hears that one of the young girls thinks that she's her mom, all the color drains from her face in an animation trick that was very, very funny and really beautifully done. So I really liked episode 2. I think episodes 1 and 3 are more emblematic of the series proper, in that the pacing is all screwy. There's no real arc structure to any of these stories except for the second one. Like, the first episode is 2/3 of us just kind of seeing how this girl has lived for 300 years, and then 1/3 us meeting a dragon girl who becomes her apprentice. And episode 3 turns into a weird sex comedy. And I'm really into, I appreciate an all-female sex comedy as a concept. Like, cool, this is inclusive, this is fun on its face. It's executed very poorly. For my taste. I wrote one of the characters, and I think her name is Halkara. I think that's what I wrote. I can't read my writing. I wrote Halkara is like a pervy Osaka, and it's not super entertaining. I assume I mean Osaka from Azumanga Daioh.
Right.
The dumb blonde, and I was just like, I'm not super into this. There's a lot of boob jokes in that episode too.
Oh gosh, there was.
But even complaining about the pacing and not being super into the shift the show takes, this is pretty inoffensive. It's got some interesting things going on beneath the surface. Like, our lead died from overwork, and we don't really think that that's affected her for most of the first episode, or her in this new life, until she tells her dragon apprentice to stop work when the sun goes down, to only work for her own betterment and her own edification, not to please somebody else. I thought that was real, like, how that was presented was well done. The animation's really cute. This looks good. It's got some Panty Pony Dash vibes. The children are treated like children and are never sexualized, which I hate that has to be a positive point in an anime. But It is really refreshing to know that I could pop, even if I'm not super into female harem comedy, that I can pop this in and not feel gross about it, So I think maybe this just wasn't for me.
Which is fine.
Episode 2 was great. If in the future there's more episodes like the one with the 2 slime girls, I'd super be down for it. If you're looking for supernatural cute girls doing cute things, I think this is your best bet.
Mike, what did you think?
I actually really liked this one. I mean, it might be just that compared to some of the other isekai from the past couple seasons, this one just feels a little bit more like a breath of fresh air. And I will agree that some of the boob jokes in episode 3 went a touch too far. But
Right.
I think what really connected me to the series was the main character. Since a lot of us around that age do kind of feel that, the exhaustion from like just working all the time. And then even the sort of like imposter syndrome once like once it kind of clicks that, she's become a god, like a goddess in this world after what she thinks is just like pretty mundane killing slimes. But what she doesn't know is that that's like, yeah, like Cameron said, basically turned her into One Punch Man.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this one. I don't really have much to add on, but I just thought it was really nice to. I mean, like it's not unfamiliar for a show to be like, hey, don't overwork yourself. Because a lot of anime sometimes like to criticize and comment on the work culture of Japan, and luckily it's just like you can easily relate this to how work conditions are in America for certain companies and such. So it's like it's a universal theme of just like take care of yourself. And yeah, the elf was my least favorite character of it. I mean, it was kind of humorous at the detail of like when she was introduced. Like anytime they do the dumb boob jokes and such, you hear like a little boing back. Like it's not like the sound effect, but it's just like a little voice will say boing boing sexy or whatever. And I think it's a little too familiar for me that it's like, oh, the blonde elves, ditzy and curvy. I've seen this before. This season has the second season of How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, which has the exact same character. So it's a little distracting, like, but it's cute girls doing cute things. It's harmless, and that's really all you can ask for. And at least it's not too uh like fan service centric. And I agree. I like that the little kids are not sexualized or anything. And yeah, just anime, you got to stop doing that. It's not great at all. Stop it.
We shouldn't have to tell you when a kid is not put in a bad situation.
Seriously.
Yeah, just yeah. And I like and I like the dragon girl. I think she's my favorite character out of the bunch.
Same.
And I like our main character. And it's just nice to have a nice low key anime every once in a while. I just hope like if I continue to watch this show, the jokes around the elf girl become better because I kind of liked some of the jokes outside of the obvious boob jokes and such. And I like that we get to meet Beelzebub, aka the Lord of Flies. And it's like you kind of get introduced to her like throughout the whole episode of episode 3 as this little fly flying around.
I kind of like the sound effect of for the buzzing, just buzz.
The sequence of her getting close to the moon and basically flying straight into a supernatural bug zapper was extremely funny.
Yeah, no, it was.
In fact, she was basically taken down by a mosquito net.
I hope we see more jokes like that because that was executed really well.
Yeah, when this show has a big joke to tell, it tells it really well. It goes big or goes home. I think when it goes to the more cliched anime type like with the elf girl and her boings,
Yeah.
That's when it kind of falters. So hopefully
Right.
they go with their gut and kind of go with the more creative jokes that they've already executed very well.
Yeah. No, it's like if you're going to be a fantasy comedy, take advantage of the fantasy and the comedy. All right. So our next one is the Saints' magic power is omnipotent. Sorry, I had to train myself to say that word properly. And so get ready for another isekai. A 20-something woman coming home from work one night gets warped into a fantasy world. And the twist is she was warped there along with someone else and basically was not told, like she was basically summoned there by mistake. And obviously and understandably she's kind of pissed about it because it's like, what the hell? So then it's like, how about you just stay here and do what you want while we find a way to send you back home. And she becomes like the hero that's more like in the background of isekai anime. Like she makes these potions like that are stronger and all these other things while getting a harem of pretty anime boys. And boy, they like their pretty anime boys in this show. There's a lot of good looking guys. Haley, what did you think?
So I really loved this. This has a very nice throwback feel to back in the days when isekai protagonists were largely high school girls being sent to Fushigi Yugi or Magic Knight Rayearth areas. I love that our lead really at first doesn't want to be there. I know some people thought that the pacing of the first episode was too rushed. It didn't bother me actually that much. I
Me
will say
neither.
the episode is the weakest of the bunch, but the only reason I haven't watched past episode 3 is because I didn't have time with everything else. I'm gonna pick this up once the next podcast episode is done though, because while she's building a harem, I really like the budding romance she has with the blonde icy
Night mage
night
guy.
yeah, the night guy, Albert. I really like. I also was worried when they introduced Princess Lizzie that there was going to be some sort of rivalry there. I'm really glad there's not. I love seeing strong female friendships in anime. I don't feel like we see them enough.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs is great. I don't really have anything bad to say about this show. It each episode improves upon the last. The music is really lovely. The opening theme sounds like something straight out of Sailor Moon. It's the show could probably use a slightly larger animation budget. Sometimes it looks a little wonky, but as a nice throwback to the origins of isekai and as a female driven fantasy show, A plus. A plus. The Ice Cube magic scene stole my heart. This show makes me very, very happy. It's very cute. I just really love this show. It's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorites. Teresa, what did you think?
I can't say that I love it, but I'm definitely interested. I think I just need to watch more. I think I'm trying to like figure out the magic and thinking too hard about it. Probably, but I definitely like that she's like the prodigy. She can do all this work overnight, and the last episode and like made that guy smile. That was probably my favorite part. And yeah, I'm definitely I like the animation. I thought it was okay. And yeah, the music is cute.
Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, this one is just so sweet. I do like how the inciting incident is just like it was an accident. It was something random. But then after that first episode, they bring up like where she came from originally, like once in a while, but it becomes less of the focus of the series, and it's more about the budding romance between Say and the Ice Prince. And like the more time that they spend together, the more those are always the scenes that I enjoyed the most, especially just like their date around town. That was just really sweet.
Yeah, I really like this one. I didn't mind the pacing. I feel like the show is actually more of a slow burn than feeling disjointed. And I like that it's an isekai that kind of focuses on like the background work of like making new potions and that her introducing the like herbs to cooking and such, which I'm curious about how their food tasted without the
Same.
introduction of herbs. And it was just like very sweet and very charming, and they didn't make it so far, at least so far, with make it any like sleazy male harem elements. I mean, like the guys are good looking, but that's basically about it as far as they go. They don't go like, whoa, look, he left his shirt and now he's chiseled and such, or something like that, or they don't try to sexualize the main character and such. And that's rare because it's anime. You got to push merchandise and such. So make the female, put her in something skimpy for one episode, and then we'll sell a statue or something of that. It's wholesome, and I just think it's a delightful show. It might not be for everyone. You kind of have to be into a very low key anime, but otherwise, yeah, I'd highly recommend it. So our last fantasy show will be Dragon Goes House Hunting. which is on Funimation, and it's based off of the manga and such. So it's basically about this dragon that one day lets a egg get captured by some adventurers and is instantly disowned by his parents. And just wants to find a home to relax and not be bothered. And then comes in this real estate agent slash demon lord who's like super strong, super imposing, but has a part-time job as a real estate agent. And they go off on their fantasy adventure of trying to find the dragon, the right home. Haley, what did you think about this show?
This show is really adorable. It's exactly what it says on the title. The dragon is going house hunting. If that sounds like that's not going to be your thing, it's probably not going to be your thing. But I really like how the world is constructed in Dragon Goes House Hunting, the fantasy world. We get a lot of perspectives from fantasy characters we don't normally see centered in narratives. Like there's a construction elf. We get a whole episode about crones and gnomes, Kuropakr. Like I wrote a lot of my reactions are just like, oh my god, look at this creature. Oh my god, look at this creature. How cute is this? It has kind of the same problem that Heaven's design team had for me last year, and it's not really a problem so much as it's cute and it's fun, but there's not a huge it's missing something to really grab you, but it's very funny. I think there's also a lot of really nice subtle wordplay in this show. Like in episode 3, they go to a place called Abuela where the crones live, and I'm like, ooh, a mom cavern, a grandma cavern. And I was like, and when I saw the cranes, I'm like, that was totally intentional. That was pretty fun. I think your enjoyment of the show will depend on how much you like our lead dragon. I think he's great. I've seen people find him very annoying, but I enjoy a cowardly, silly, bad at communicating dragon who's really just trying to find his forever calm place. So yeah, this is cute.
Teresa, what did you think?
It definitely grew on me. The first episode, I was like, what is this? Why is this an anime? But I love the ghouls and wraiths. I was like, once they went to the haunted house in episode 2, I was like, okay, it's so kooky that I love it. And definitely the gnomes building his castle. I thought that whole thing was very cute. All the kind of side characters really brought it together. I did find some of the dialogue a bit funny. Like I'm pretty sure he said "come at me, bro" in one part. And I was like, is this for real? Is that really the subtitle? So that one kind of threw me, but I'm definitely entertained and I would watch more.
Mike, what did you think?
The show is stupid, but it's my kind of stupid. A lot of the show's weaknesses are actually kind of what make it great. Like the animation is a little bit on the wonky side, but it kind of goes along with like the show's sense of humor. And my favorite thing about it is the fact that our main character is a dragon who, like, we usually think of like dragons as like the big imposing forces of nature, but instead he's like a whiny 12-year-old boy who can't fly and just wants to be left alone. Meanwhile, the heroes are the monsters, and he just wants to find his forever home. He's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the fantasy anime because I love anime that get the point and the premise past the elevator pitch, because they actually do expand the entire world about like how exactly all the different races of creatures live. And I love that we have a demon lord that's a real estate agent, and he takes these slimes in the first episode to a cavern, and it's like, don't worry, the last owner put up an invisibility spell, so you won't be getting any encounters, and there's plenty of space for you and your kids. And it's so adorable. And I love some of the more like physical comedy of like when the dragon's like, oh, I hear dwarves are good at building stuff. He just goes over to where the dwarves live, not expecting the dwarves to capture him and get ready to cut him up. And He's just like, hey, I heard you guys build houses. And then they freak out, understandably, because there's a huge dragon at their front gates. And I love like the infatuation, like in the episode where they build like his super mansion and with some of the creatures that like protect him and such. But there are also like little story beats that I think make it like give it a little more of a push than Heaven's design team. And like I like the chemistry between our lead characters, and I love how blunt our demon lord real estate agent is. Like I watched some of the other episodes beyond the 3-episode mark, and I love that it's like, so you want to be away from everyone else, no one to bother you. And he takes him to like this frozen wasteland where only Yetis live. And he tells him like, okay, and now since you don't want to pay anything, you can make your own giant igloo setup. And he takes everything way too literal, and it's just a delight. And they introduce a little baby bird, and they take him to this community housing area where like a bunch of small races of creatures live. And there's this great running gag of like the landlords being these big creatures that protect everyone else. Like you see those heroes come back and are like, everyone like charge forward for the greatness of our kingdom. And then this I think it was like a chimera or something just stomps on them, and they're like, we're already dead. And it's really funny, like just wholesome, wildly creative. And yeah, I'd highly recommend. I think this one and The Saints Magic are the best fantasy shows of the season.
I would agree with that.
So like if you had to watch two of them, watch these two. Though I'd also recommend watching the slime one also, just because it's cute and laid back.
Yeah, the fantasy isekai this season, with the exception of Full Dive, which, you know, if you just want to watch the first episode even, is fine. Way better than last season's stuff.
Yeah.
A huge improvement, and far more varied in scope and plot.
Yeah. Agreed. Mm-hmm. So we're now going into the other category, where we just find some shows that didn't really have a distinct genre to call their own, or they're just not enough to make their own category. Let's start with Blue Reflection Ray. I will try my best to make sense of this setup. Basically, it's a battle royale anime with, of course, cute girls and such, schoolgirls to be precise, because there's apparently no one else in this world. And they get into these fights, and their powers are manifested by emotions. And they team up in teams of 2, and they try to take down one another while something else is happening. This show is not great. I'll go first. This show was incredibly hard to follow, and maybe it's because it's based off of a RPG by the developer Gust, and their games are so anime that it's almost too much anime inspired, because the show doesn't do a good job of explaining anything. The action's not great. The visual designs of the characters is interesting enough, but then the animation around everything else is not. And I had a hard time following who the main character we were supposed to follow. Haley, what did you think?
This show is extremely confusing. One of my notes is literally, this is a really weird Madoka Magica ripoff. And then my next note was, or an everything ripoff, maybe, I don't know. And it's hard to say much else because it is so confusing, which is interesting given that the show moves at a snail's pace. There are a lot of conversations that are basically about nothing. The villains appear to be a Yuri incest cult.
Oh gosh.
Maybe, but I totally could have misinterpreted that. And started to think that I had misinterpreted that, because in the 3rd episode, they started talking about why they needed the Sailor Moony like heart crystal things from people. And it actually sounded sensible to me. I don't think, if there's a production Bible for this show, I don't think that the creators are following it. The conceptualization of a lot of the stuff that we should be understanding. So like you said, it's a battle royale. There's 2 sides. One side seems to be just normal schoolgirls. One is some sort of Yuri incest cult, like I said. The cult is trying to take like crystallized emotions out of ordinary girls to purge them of that emotion, I think.
Ugh.
But the way they explained it made it sound like, made it sound like it was going to be a healing process. But the side that I think we're supposed to side with was saying, no, people need these emotions and need to work through them and whatnot. But that was my best interpretation of what was said. And I'm still not entirely clear after 3 episodes to set this up if my brain was following what the moral lines are for each of these groups. They really could have used one of those 45 conversations to maybe summarize this. The animation takes a straight up nosedive in episode 3 too.
Yeah, it does.
The show looks pretty okay in episodes 1 and 2, and then episode 3, people suddenly have eyes like drifting into their ears. This also, I think the big twist is supposed to be that one of our lead sisters is evil, and I figured that out in like the middle of episode 1. So I'm not super hopeful about how the rest of this narrative is going to go. Not that I'm going to be watching this.
No.
There's a whole scene in episode 1 where the girls are making posters for no reason that takes up like 5 minutes of time, and I still don't understand what that was about. The show reminds me a bit of that post-Madoka show Daybreak Illusion, where all the girls had powers from tarot cards, except way slower. The show is not good. I wouldn't say it's the worst show of the season, simply by virtue of not being actively offensive or just all around terrible, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, I watched the opening twice because I was like, did I start the wrong episode? I was like, wait, why is there a battle? What are these swords? What are they doing? And then I was like, oh, it's a flashback. And then I was like, whose sister? Who is she talking about? I was just so confused for a good 2 episodes. And then they just were at school and the girl was just being super sad and really, it was just like made me want to stab my eyes out. Like for the first episode, I was like, I fell asleep on it twice, but I did.
Gosh.
I did watch all 3 because I was like, is it gonna make sense? Maybe. And then I was like, because I'm like, they're like, I'm a reflector, or I might be a reflector, but I'm just gonna carry this ring until I figure it out. And I'm like, there's a whole institute allegedly, but no one's helping you. I was just so confused, especially if there's people stealing souls. I was like, no one knows what's up to help these. Like, where's the Giles to explain things to them? There was none. And I will not be continuing. Definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen. Like I said in the chat, it just made me I want to watch Sailor Moon. I don't want to do this.
I want to watch like Cardcaptor Sakura or something afterward. Like more just anything other than this. Mike, what did you think?
So since we started doing these anime previews, I won't say that this is the worst out of all of them, but it was definitely my least favorite of this season. Mostly because here comes the second of my 3 least favorite protagonists. I even forget her name. That's how unmemorable she was. In my notes, I called her like a black hole of personality. And see that's something I've kind of learned about like the shows that we've been watching for these 2 podcasts, that an anime can live or die by its main protagonists. Like even if they try to set up some sort of interesting world building, which the show doesn't, the characters do not do a good job of like getting you invested in the series. And like a lot of the first the first and second episode, it's mostly just her staring at other people, not saying anything, and then just getting sad that she doesn't say anything.
A lot of problems in this show could be solved if people actually had conversations with each other.
Exactly.
And one of the most irritating versions of that is we hear somebody on a phone finally maybe saying some plot relevant information, and then a train goes over the bridge and all we hear is the train noise while we see this girl's lips moving. I was literally like, are you kidding me?
No, all this reminded me of was the Patton Oswalt joke where he talks about like if he could go back in time and destroy someone, he would take out George Lucas, and he would get too distracted by Lucas because of Patton's nerdiness. And George Lucas tells him about the prequel trilogy and such, and it's just like, oh yeah, we'll get to see Darth Vader. Oh my goodness, man, that's gonna be amazing. Yeah, he's gonna be a small boy, and his mom's gonna die, and he's gonna be sad. Okay. And then it's like Boba Fett, like, oh, do you like Boba Fett? Oh my goodness, yes. Oh man, what's gonna happen? Well, you're gonna see him as a kid, and then his dad's gonna die, and he's gonna be sad. And then it's like,
that pretty much describes like a lot of our main character's journey. It's not fun. The show's not fun.
no,
It tries to go a little bit abstract with like some of those battle scenes, but it just kind of looks messy.
this one looks like, and this game came out, or the game that this show is based on came out like 5 years ago. If you were going to make an adaptation, you should have done it when the game was coming out. And now nobody knows about it. And nobody's going to care. Like, I don't think y'all would know if I didn't say this was based off of a video game because it's so boilerplate.
I would have just assumed this was a standard Modica ripoff, honestly. Hearing that it's a game kind of surprises me because it's got all of the hallmarks of a bad Modica pastiche.
This reminds me of go ahead.
This is like, it's got the weird background art that's a different style of animation. It's got trinkets coming out of girls. It's got sad girls being sad. It's just all sad, it's mysterious, quote unquote, the word for when you want to be nice about something that's incomprehensible. I was shocked to find out this was a video game at some point because it absolutely doesn't read like that at all.
No, it doesn't. But let's move on to something that actually looks good. Pretty Boys Detective Club. So basically, we start out with this young girl named Mayumi Dojima, who promises her parents that she will give up on her dreams of becoming an astronaut on her 14th birthday if she cannot find a star she once saw long ago. Overhearing her troubles, the eccentric Manabu Sotoin offers to help her search for the star alongside the rest of Yubiwa Academy's mysterious Pretty Boy Detective Club, whose rules are as follows: be pretty, be a boy, and be a detective. Simple enough. And then later on, it takes like an Ouran High School Host Club twist, and she joins the club disguised as a boy. Haley, what did you think?
So this is extremely my shit. It's Ouran High School Host Club with conspiracies. So I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. A lot of my notes are just about how this just keeps escalating, and it's a lot of caps like, oh my god, this is going totally off the rails, and like just really excited about all of this. I will say, like, I was able to kind of gloss through some of the two big problematic things about this show, but I see them being real stopping points for people. One is that all of these characters are supposed to be like 10 to 13 years old, and they all look at least like they're in their junior year of high school.
Yeah.
And it gets very disorienting when we get a sudden repeat of our lead being, I've decided to give up my dream by my 14th birthday, when she looks like she's about to enter college. Or to tie in another problematic thing about this, the guy who looks like he is the same age as the mafia leader in Hypnosis Mike, though in his 30s. He looks like he's in his 30s. He's got long silvery hair and is apparently engaged to a first grader, which, like...
What?
That is the one really bad plot point thing in this anime, and I hope it doesn't come up again. I hope they just kind of forget that they did that, because it's bad enough that he's like 12 engaged to a first grader, but he's also the one who looks like he's 30 engaged to a first grader. It's just like, why did you write this? And then you get in, and it becomes a problem with the kid whose whole power is legs. And it's like, he looks like he's 16 or 17, but is 12. And we're just sitting there looking at his legs the whole time. And I'm just like, if you can suspend your disbelief enough to kind of shove that out of the way, the show is a lot of fun. It's just like it's like the background elements of it are poorly thought out in that regard. Like if you set the show in high school and threw out the lolly fiance, there's really nothing keeping me from recommending this. Even with the rules that seem like they might be a little reductive, they're not. It's a really, really wonderful how they frame be a boy, be pretty. Like I don't want to, like, pretty progressive ways to look at those kinds of concepts of masculinity and beauty and pride and dreams. And this show looks incredible. It's really well paced. The plotting in it is a lot of fun, but like, dude, why is there someone who's 12 who looks 35 engaged to a 6-year-old? Like it's real. I just keep coming back to that, just being like, this didn't have to be like this, you know? You didn't have to put this element into your weird sparkly Clamp School Detectives or On High School Host Club show.
Teresa, what did you think?
I loved it. I like that there were so many shades to so many different types of pretty boys, and the opening credits where they're like dancing. I was like, okay. And the animation of the stars when it reflects in her eyes, that was just like unexpected in the first episode, and I was really captivated by it. And I just like how it kind of goes a little avant-garde in the animation. Sometimes it kind of turns a left corner. And then the whole conspiracy theory, I was like, that is not where I thought this was going. Now I see why it's in the other category.
Its genre is everything.
I was like, okay. And then like that little kid is like Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden, and I was like, okay, this is fine. But that's what I love about anime. It surprised me. You're like, I literally did not think it was going to be about this, and here we are. So I'll definitely be continuing the series. And I love that she's in the club now.
Yeah, it's a adorable series. It's probably one of the best looking shows of the season. Like, they put a lot of resources into this show's visual presentation and animation. It's gorgeous. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, this show surprised me in a very good way. It's another series that has like a motley crew of characters who, again, have more personality like individually than any of like the groups in the Idol series from last season. And yeah,
true.
the animation is incredible. I'm jealous of the design of their school, or what looks like a school. They're like the art room where they meet is, has some of like the most like gorgeous architecture that I've seen in any of these like anime set like in a school setting. I love the like the conspiracy theory angle. I think like episodes 2 and 3 are probably like the more interesting and certainly batshit insane as far as like the story goes. And unlike a show like Full Dive, which gives you an exit at episode 3, episode 3 of this series is only the beginning. And if I didn't have like 15 other shows to watch, I would like immediately continue this one.
I enjoyed this series. I didn't really exactly know what I was getting into when I started, and at first I was like, the dialogue's a little dense for me, like for someone like me, and at first I was like, oh man, so it's going to be like a metaphorical, philosophical kind of outlook of like trying to find your star and such. Yeah, it wasn't turning into expecting it to turn into a show about a girl being able to see an explosion that was actually a military satellite getting blown up. That's quite a turn for the story to go. But I did like how the boys had like their own like, oh, the redhead's like fiery and he's kind of like a rough individual, but he's actually not. And I do love the designs of the clothing. I love the striped pants
Mm-hmm.
and such. It's a very distinct looking anime, which is very hard to find these days. Or at least it seems like there's like a lot of anime can have the problem of like, oh, they look way too similar to one another.
It,
But yeah, the whole I'm like the boys don't look like they're 10 to 12 to 13. The leg thing is really distracting, and then I was ready to drop out and say this is one of the worst shows when it's just like, oh, I'm engaged to a first grader, and it's like, I beg your pardon, what? What did you say? Long haired, silver haired boy. Though I will say, I think my favorite's the quiet one so far, the one with the short black hair, just because he's the artist, and I liked his design and just his personality. But yeah, no, it's a very distinct show, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but it'll kind of depend on how you go into this show. So
one thing I wanted to mention that what you just said brought up is the show is very well designed without feeling over designed.
yeah,
Like there's a nice consistent feel to all of the characters. They all feel like they're in the same universe. It's not doesn't have the same problem as like Mobage mobile game based anime where there's like 20 people and they all kind of seem like they came from a different universe.
yeah.
I think they did a really good job of making this feel like a consistent consistent world where all these people come from. And
Certainly.
I'm gonna be really disappointed when if people don't cosplay characters from this show because it just seems like this should be the school uniform everyone's wearing at cons in the next 5 years.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'd say I guess we all say check it out. Our next one is an original anime from Wit Studios called Vivi Fluorite Eyes Song. These titles. So basically, in the future, the whole human race has basically been killed by overly into like smart AI. It's the whole Terminator thing and Matrix and what have you. And as a last ditch effort, one of the scientists sends a super advanced AI 100 years into the past. I think 100 years or more.
100.
Anyway, okay, and the AI is sent to find the first ever sorry how do you say this word, autonomous, sorry,
Autonomous.
AI, yeah, thank you, sorry, I was having struck my brain. Who is a idol or a low-key idol for this amusement park, and for some reason she is the only one who can help prevent the robot uprising in the future. So, and this was also the one anime this season that had 2 episodes premiere at once. And so, Haley, what did you think?
So somehow I ended up seeing 5 episodes of this show, managing to fit that in before we got to this season. This is one of my favorites. I am following this show. I know I'm a couple episodes behind right now,
Me
but
too.
this is one of my favorites of the season. I think putting the first 2 episodes on was brilliant because the first episode is pretty jarring. Opens with a extremely violent massacre sequence that was really kind of shocking. I liked it a lot though. It's the thing I wrote after that opening scene is that the tone of this show is incredible, and I think that the show continues walking that tightrope of having kind of this ridiculous premise of an idol robot is going to save the world from herself. It does a really good job balancing, making you not think about that too much while you go through the action sequences, while you go through the changing world around the idol. I love her personality. I think she's a great focus character. My only real gripe with this show is that one of the other main characters is an AI named Matsumoto. And oh my God, he talks so fast that it is hard, even when you're not taking notes, to follow what he's saying. And I applaud the subtitlers on Funimation and the translators, because they must have had a hell of a job with that character. But when I was watching the episodes beyond episode 3, just for my amusement, there are points where I had to pause and rewind to understand what he had just told me, because he also has kind of the, I don't want to say exposition dump duties, but he is the one giving a lot of exposition over the course of this series. So
Right.
if you have a hard time reading subtitles, I can see this show being an absolute nightmare for you. But the show is really well done. I don't want to give away a whole lot of its plotting, but it's very easy to get sucked into this show and its overarching plot. I definitely want to know why Vivi was chosen to save everyone. And I also want to know what Matsumoto's deal is, because he's an AI very set on stopping the rise of AI, which immediately makes me suspicious. And you know that the idol AI is also very suspicious of this. You can tell she's suspicious of Matsumoto, but they're kind of uneasy allies through this whole thing. And it's a dynamic that works very well. It helps. This show is, if it wasn't for Pretty Boy Detective Agency, would be the best looking show of the season. This straight up looks like a Ghibli movie every week. Yeah, like it's hard to be more specific because this plot takes a lot of twists and turns, and I'm 6 or 7 episodes in, so for a 3 episode preview, I don't want to start giving away half of a show.
Right.
But this is extremely good, and it's the show I've been recommending to people who don't normally watch anime, because I think it's got a lot of hooks that would bring in a not a more casual audience, but it's the show this season I think has the most universal story.
Right. Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm a big fan, although I'm not a fan of the title. It's too long.
It also makes no sense. There's been no fluoride at all.
You make itself clear eventually, and I've not seen that yet. I love it. I'm hooked. I guess I just accepted the violence. I was like, yeah, all right, there's some kind of war going on. And then when it went back in time, I was like, wait, what's happening? But I love the little teddy bear banter. I want more of that. As soon as in episode 3, when they're on the ship, I was like, yeah, this is getting good. This is like exactly what I'm here for. I think I'm just like, I love time travel. I love kind of like sci-fi action. I love when the character is like, doesn't know exactly what's happening, but they're the hero, just like in Terminator. I'm like all over it. I thought the animation was great. And definitely it's like what Haley's saying, there's twists and turns, but it's not too hard to follow, like Blue Reflection Ray. Like, I understand the mission. I did think there would be more singing. I was like, where's the song? But maybe it's coming later.
I will say the show doesn't have an opening until a few episodes in. So it's really interesting how they approach this show. Mike, what did you think about this show?
I think the premise is almost tailor-made towards me. I am a big fan of like time travel stories. Plus, there's a musical aspect of this, not completely, like Teresa said. It doesn't go like full musical, but the main character does want to be like the idol performer on like the main stage of their like amusement park. So there's that kind of makes this stand out among other like sci-fi apocalypse stories. But the one thing that I think would this is one of the shows that a dub would be beneficial for audiences because of Matsumoto, who speaks like a mile a minute. And for some people, if they're having a hard time following the subtitles, like that could be a turnoff. So if this were to get a dub, it's like the next, I don't know, couple months. Since simuldubs for some reason this season are a little bit slower. I think there's only one, and it's a show we'll talk about next time. But yeah, the premise of this is great. The story The story is really engaging. The world building is just kind of fascinating. Like Haley mentioned, I'm very curious why the two people trying to stop a war between humans and machines are machines. Something is brewing in the background, and I'm kind of dying to know what exactly the big twist is.
Right, same here. No, it's the compelling drive of this show is the philosophical mindset of Matsumoto from the future and Vivi from the modern day. And just there are different ideals about how to handle this because it's like, why don't we just do this? But Matsumoto's like, oh, but we can't do too much to affect the timeline, even though they are constantly affecting the timeline, but not in a super serious way. And I remember at first when I was watching like the first 2 episodes, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm pretty good. And then the ending of the second episode happens. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What's happening here? And then they show you what happens at the very end of episode 2. And it's like, man, it's very compelling stuff. And I'm on like episode 5 right now. I can't wait to get back into this show. And it's gorgeous. It's probably one of the best animated shows of the season. And what's kind of nice is that there are a bunch of original anime this season. It's not all just light novel, video game, or manga adaptations. And it's just good to support the original projects out there when they do pop up. So our next one is probably my favorite show of the season, Odd Taxi, which basically combines the worlds of Zootopia, Beastars, with a little bit of Fargo and The Wire, with the art style of Animal Crossing.
That is one hell of a combination.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Eccentric and blunt, the walrus Odokawa lives a relatively normal life. He drives a taxi for a living, and there he meets several unique individuals. The jobless Kabasawa, who is dead set on going viral, the mysterious nurse Shirakawa, the struggling comedic duo Homo sapiens, and Dobu, a well-known delinquent. And saying much more would be spoiling this show. Like I said, this is my favorite anime of the season. It's tailor-made for my interests. Like, for one, it's an original anime, which, I just said, I like seeing that. And two, even though it has like a Zootopia Beastars kind of thing going on, it feels wholly distinct from those two. And I just like the more drama thriller aspect of the show. I like all the little side stories that are happening and how they all interconnect with one another, and the one lingering plot point of a missing girl, or I guess cat girl. And you're just I was constantly on the edge of my seat of wondering what was going to happen. And I liked how they just let these characters live throughout the story so far. And Haley, what did you think?
So yeah, this show is really wonderful. One thing I want to point out is if you're into this show, the author is the same author who wrote a film called Seto Itsume, which was also a manga. I highly recommend both the movie and the manga. Kind of a different setup where it's not a mystery. It's just 2 high school boys sitting on stone steps talking about shit. Just, anything that comes to their minds. And part of what made that film so great was the dialogue. And the dialogue in this is really, really well done. There's a couple of conversations. I think my favorite was episode 3, the conversation that the high class llama girl and I wrote his name down. The
Odokawa.
I'm like the main character,
Yeah.
They have a conversation in the park in episode 3 that ends in her demonstrating her, as it would be called in Bob's Burgers, her sexy dance fighting. And it's just delightful. And I think the real strength of this show is the characters, even the ones that only appear for brief moments. You can feel like they have a whole life outside of Odokawa's taxi or outside of the concert hall where they saw this idol group. There's the strength of it really is the characters. The central mysteries and the central noir kind of plot of the show is very strong. And I don't want to give anything away about it either, especially because I'm in episode 3. And I don't think I'm as far along as most people, but it's really worth looking at if you're into kind of noir storytelling, or if you just like really strongly characterized shows. It's very, very well done. There's not really any problems I have with the show or any kind of like critique of it. It's not my favorite show simply because Vivi exists. And I think that mystery grabbed me a little more than the central mystery of the missing girl in Odd Taxi, but that's not a knock on Odd Taxi. Odd Taxi is extremely good. I think this also has my favorite opening theme of the season. The very
it's so good.
Hip hop beats, K-pop coffee shop mix sound, super, super well done. It's perfect fit for this show too. Yeah.
Teresa, what did you think?
This was the first one I watched. I was like, this looks weird. That's my jam. I'm gonna watch that first. And I definitely was hooked immediately. I love the animation and I just love how deadpan. But I guess I expect a walrus to be a little deadpan. And a little over serious. I work in social media, so the whole I can't remember what kind of animal he is, but that one character trying to go viral and like annoying for his picture and the whole thing it's just too funny, and him getting mad that he's not going viral, that was just too hilarious. And I feel like it makes it like it's the plot on its whole, it just seems kind of weird. All the characters are animals, but it definitely is very like relatable, and like the commentary on like our world was really, really funny. And then the little friendship budding love story is just so sweet. It has a little bit of everything and I love it.
That was probably my favorite scene where Kadokawa and the llama nurse are in, like, where he's driving the llama nurse, and it's like it's a very intimate conversation. And then he asks her, "Is like, do you have someone you like?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you have a picture of him?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I would like to see it." And then he's like, "I'm going to show my friend, the monkey janitor." And it turns out she just turned on the reflection, or like the reverse camera, and it's him looking at the camera, and it was just so sweet. I love that little scene. I love all these little scenes that they do this with, and it's also surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
And I like that there's a scene that takes up like 3 or 5 minutes of the first episode where Kadokawa and the doctor are talking about Bruce Springsteen.
I love that scene.
It's
And
great.
I know some people are kind of theorizing that Kadokawa is just going nuts and nobody's actually these talking animals. Like it's like a human. It's just like his brain's a little warped, so everyone's animals. And it's like, I don't think that's the case. They could easily just say, give like real life names and just make them animals. It's not. I don't think it's that deep.
I would be really upset if that was the twist of this show. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I feel
And
like it would be just like a slap in the face.
it would be. I would hate for that to be a thing. Mike, what did you think about this show?
Okay, so take this as a compliment. I wish this was one of the shows that that got put onto Netflix, because it feels very much like it would belong among some of those titles, like Beastars, like BNA.
The Great Pretender.
Yeah, exactly. It has that sort of vibe. And even if the show didn't have like the mystery element to it, and it was literally just like a slice of life of a 41-year-old walrus who happens to be a taxi driver, I would still find it like compelling. But because it has the mystery, because it has a lot of like really insightful social commentary, those are just like kind of extra layers to a world that just feels completely lived in. Like in just like the first 5 minutes, it already feels like you've known these characters for like 20 plus years. And I think that's why, as far as I can tell, this kind of feels like the breakout hit of the season. I have no idea like what the consensus is on any of these.
No, I don't think it's the most popular one viewership wise because it's not original, and I mean it's original. Sorry, yeah, it's original, and it doesn't have a pre-made fan base. So
It's also, I think everything this season is slamming straight into My Hero Academia
yeah,
and the end of the end of Attack on Titan.
yeah, that and Zombieland Saga's back. So
Yeah.
so it's like I want this one to be I just want more people to watch this, and if it ever gets a physical release, I'm gonna buy it day one.
Mhm.
And yeah, it probably has the best opening song of any anime, and I'm caught up with the current lineup of episodes. It's great. I remember a friend of ours through Facebook commented saying it's like a Coen Brothers film. It really feels like a Coen Brothers style story. Like this reminds me of like Fargo season 2 in a lot of ways. Like it's offbeat, but I just love the writing to it all. So yeah, of course it sounds like we all recommend it. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
fun fact: the director of this show, Baku Kinoshita, this is his first time directing.
Wow.
And he's also the character designer as well. And the person Haley is referencing is Kazuya Konomoto. So if you want to see the film Setsu Sumi, I think that's how.
Yeah, Seto Utsumi.
Um,
It's on Amazon Prime, but the subtitles are insanely fucked up. So I would recommend buying a DVD or finding it elsewhere.
yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Amazon needs to get better on that. So let's get into the most thrilling anime with the beginning of the slice of life category with, like I said, it's the most exciting, heart-pounding series to date, Super Cub. And if you know anything about what I'm saying, I'm obviously lying. So, Koguma, a reserved second-year high school student, has nothing. No parents, hobbies, friends, or goals. On her way home one afternoon, she visits a vehicle shop in hopes of acquiring a motor scooter. If only enough money to make ends meet, she is disheartened by the price tags and prepares to turn back. However, as she is about to leave, the shop's owner offers her a pre-owned Honda Super Cub for 10,000 yen. Lucky her. Believing that the motorcycle will help brighten her monotonous world, she accepts the deal. As Koguma journeys through her town on small adventures with her Super Cub, she begins to build irreplaceable friendships and eagerly advances towards her new life. Eager's a interesting word to use.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush. This show is slow. Haley, what did you think?
Yeah. I know this is kind of turning into a cult favorite this season, but I think the show is kind of terrible.
I mean, that's how cult fandom starts.
Yeah, that's true. There's two reasons for me saying that overall. One is that it is extremely slow, like catatonia inducingly slow. The first episode, the plot is she's boring. She has no family. She goes to school and eats lunch in real time. She goes to a bike shop, looks at bike prices, also almost in real time. Gets offered the Honda Cub that may have killed people. They don't bring that up again. I thought this was going to be a more supernaturally bent show based on that, but no, it's not. She gets on the bike. She enjoys driving it. She enjoys driving it in real time. She runs out of gas. She doesn't understand this. She goes into a grocery store and buys snacks in real time before she notices a truck that is out of gas and thinks, hey, maybe my Super Cub is out of gas. She fills it with gas and then drives it. And that's the end of the episode. And that's basically the pacing of this entire goddamn show. It's infuriating. The show is infuriating. I can get with a show where nothing happens. I can get with a movie where nothing happens. Patterson is one of my favorite movies, and I think you can argue nothing happens in that movie. But the second problem I have with this show is that our protagonist is dumb as a bag of rocks. It takes her almost half of the first episode to figure out that she needs to fill her car with gas, and she is a second-year high school student. she also learns how to use a screwdriver in real time at some point. I keep saying in real time because that's how it feels. Like I'm talking about the show and it's making me angry. This is not the worst show of the season, but it's down there for me. She is taught how to online shop by her new friend Reiko in the year 2021. She realizes how goggles work because she sees someone using them to weld. Like she's never seen goggles before. Again, she's about 16 or 17 years old. Yeah, when this girl's whole personality is my life is boring and also I'm really stupid, it's just hard to get into what she's doing. Mike has his list of least favorite protagonists of the season. I'm not going to say this girl is toxic and I'm not going to say like she's horrible or whatever, but she is not interesting to watch at all. And yeah, I think this show would feel less slow if the animation while the girls were on their scooters was a little better. As it is, it's kind of the same CG model and it doesn't look great. And there's occasionally awkward butt shots of these girls while they're on their motorcycles. And it's like, oh, okay. That's new. I feel like the show is paid for by Honda. And if it was, they could have done better. But the execution, like this concept could be something really special. And it's just really, really lacking to me. Like I don't hate this show, but I'm really glad that I never have to watch this again. The only excitement I got out of this show was when a character that looked like Moomin Rider biked past her and had a helmet on. And she was like, oh, maybe I should get a helmet so that the wind isn't constantly in my face and I don't die if I fall over. And again, I'm like, you're 17 fucking years old. Like, how have you never heard of helmets, goggles, online shopping, gasoline, wheels, screwdrivers? Just like you live, especially since she lives by herself. If we set her up as a sheltered kid who was maybe overprotected by her parents or really only had time for studying, or if we had more backstory on her, I think I might be able to accept some of the things she does better. But the backstory we get is she's mysteriously alone in an apartment, eats the same 3 things every week, and just has no life otherwise. And yeah, I just really don't like this show. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, this one it's too slow for me. I also was like, she was like buying the bike and then she's like, I need a license. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, you don't know that. I was like, should this girl live on her own? Should she be in a dorm or something? Because I'm like, what happened to the parents? That's just never brought up. And then the thing about the bike killed some people and never brought up again. And I was like, that's too weird for me. I didn't hate it. She's just too dull of a character for me. I love her friend. Her friend is wonderful. I was
Right.
like, "Oh, thank goodness, life in this show." But they don't hang out enough for me.
Yeah, Mike, what did you think?
Okay, as you could all guess by now, Koguma is she's in that top 3 of worst characters this season, but worst in the sense of she has no personality, she has no skills, frankly, she has no intelligence, and how the hell is she living on her own when she can't do anything? And like the worst thing about about this series, especially the first episode, is that other than the bike shop owner, she's the only person we're following. So there's hardly any dialogue. And I'm not saying a show needs dialogue to be good, but like this doesn't replace dialogue with anything else. It's mostly just silence and a character who is just, again, another black hole of personality. Things only get marginally better in episodes 2 and 3 because we're introduced to her friend, who a more interesting version of the story would have actually made this a kind of sort of romance. And I feel like that was maybe a version of where this was going. It's just either we haven't seen it develop yet, or the idea just like got dropped before production actually started. But this series is it has nothing. There is no reason other than you like seeing the Honda logo to watch this.
So, am
One
I
thing
still going? Go ahead.
Sorry. One thing I did just see in my notes, and I do want to bring it up because I did really like it. I appreciate that all of the men in this show are unambiguously supportive of young girls in the motorbike hobby community. Like, I think that's pretty nice. It's the way they showcase the community is really sweet. That builds up around these motor scooters. I think that was the only thing about this show that I liked.
So, am I gonna lose my co-hosting gig and say I actually didn't hate this one as much?
Barry, leave now.
No. Oh man, I can't believe it.
Go fill your scooter with gas and think about what you've done.
No, and by saying this, I need a big ol' asterisk by saying I kind of liked it, but only because I like some parts of its low keyness kind of hooked me because I was on the same boat. Like this show is way too slow. Our protagonist is a wet blanket with no personality, and she's written to be a little too stupid for her own good, which is a huge problem. And it does get marginally better in episode 2 and 3, even though her observation skills are not great. But something about the low key vibe when it actually works actually pulled me in because I kind of like this low key slice of life stuff. But yeah, the animation is inconsistent. It looks great in some points, but then when the CGI has to work with the 2D, it doesn't always work. And that's a shame because I think the character designs look great. And yeah, I was expecting a little more from this show. I didn't expect it to be such a slow show. I might check it out, but it's definitely not on like priority number 1. So, our second to last anime we'll talk about in this episode is called Fairy Ranmaru, a original project for that's on Crunchyroll. Let's see how I can describe this. Basically, in a world of, well, I'll read the synopsis. In a world where negative emotions fester, 5 fairies from the strongest clans are sent to Earth to collect attachment in order to sustain their world. The fairies establish Bar F and live their lives as normal high school boys in a barkeep in order to protect their true identities and fulfill their mission. Okay, so this is a weird show. It's an interesting weird show, but it's a weird show. Haley, you go first. What did you think?
So there's a couple of shows this season that suffer from being in the same season as something basically trying to do it but better. And I think Fairy Ranmaru ends up looking really kind of slapdash because it's in the same season as Pretty Boy Detective Agency.
Mm-hmm.
The Fairy Ranmaru is a lot hornier. I don't think that's a good thing. So this show, I don't think it goes far enough in how ridiculous it needs to be. Like, if you look at Pretty Boy Detective Agency, that shit's ridiculous. By the end of episode 2, we're talking about military satellites and a girl with magic eyes, and like it's owning all of these crazy plot twists and just running with them. Or even something like this needed to be like cute high school Earth Boys Defense Club or whatever that show was called from a couple years ago. The Magic Boy anime with the koala.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it really needed to fully embrace that this is Magical Boy JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it doesn't really. So each episode is kind of set up where the fairies are on Earth and they see a human with a problem, and they have to help the human with the problem. And at the end of the second half of the episode is usually them transforming into Bara pinup models, basically, to fight the evil in somebody's heart to protect the person they're trying to help. So the second halves of the episodes are all uniformly pretty great because they're just ludicrous fight sequences in very well animated, fluid, ever-changing worlds based around the central problems of each episode. And I really have no complaints about sexy men fighting with wands against evil moe blobs or whatever. That's an actual episode.
Second episode.
Yeah, second episode. The sections where they're on Earth and like figuring out these problems are extremely hit and miss. Like the first episode, I think is the best of the three.
Mhm.
And it's one of the fairies is helping a girl who's being relentlessly bullied, basically because she likes a guy, and she's being bullied by the alpha popular chick.
Oh, heaven forbid a girl
yeah.
likes a boy without getting
Yeah.
harassed.
And the girl bullying her we find out she's pretty off the deep end, like using multiple fake accounts to drive this girl into madness. And I think because of the relative uncomplicated nature of that plot line, the human center of that episode works very well. We start getting into episode 2, where the conflict is between a woman who's trying to sell her manga and is being constantly run around and rejected and physically abused by her manager. And I really don't think she needed the fairy intervention to help her there. She should have just, as soon as that guy was stepping on her fingers, I think she had the grounds to kind of complain to literally anybody else at that agency, because they all exist.
Oh yeah, by the way, this show's parody of Shonen Jump is called Weekly Dump.
That was actually pretty funny.
That was a pretty good joke. I still stand by the fact that none of the plot of that episode made sense, because there is a really compelling reason to believe that that woman would not have put up with that shit.
Right.
And then episode 3 is a ripoff of Skip Beat. So it's it's a mixed bag on the stories that are supposed to center these ridiculous set pieces of men fighting in skimpy clothes. I know that was a lot of explanation to get to that point.
Right.
It is very hit or miss for me. This has the funniest work of fiction disclaimer of all the anime this season, because like hopefully I hope no one thinks this is real. Like it's not like they threw this on Super Cub. They threw this on the anime about buff men transforming into lingerie clad beefy warriors and fighting internal battles. Like, okay. The ending theme seems like a cut Yakuza karaoke number. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think this could have been a lot better. I think it needed someone to give it a consistent vision.
Right.
And it lacks that.
Mike, what did you think?
In listening to Haley's explanation, I think she's right on the money, where the second half of each episode is like pretty much like 100% better than the first halves. At least the first episode is more thematically consistent with the what I described as chaos horniness of the series. But the other two is where it gets more disjointed. I kind of appreciate the Monster of the Week approach to this, and I'm pretty sure like a bigger story is opening up after episode 3. I'm a little bit curious to see where they go with that, but if you're asking me to choose between this and Pretty Boys Detective Club, I think that one's the winner. At least though, I can say that this is infinitely better as far as like trying to be more abstract with its like visuals during the fight scenes. It definitely beats whatever the hell Blue Reflection Ray was trying to accomplish.
Yeah. No, this one's a hot mess because of everything y'all said. Though I will say I will give kudos to the character designs of this show. You can describe 2 of the guys with one word: bulge.
Yep.
Holy cow, I give them kudos for making the bulges on 2 of the guys' transformed forms super detailed. Like, they put a lot of focus on that, and that's not even counting the transformation of the guy in the 3rd episode. Like, good lord, just like, it's like someone got annoyed with how sexy transformation sequences are for female anime characters and said like, okay, well, let's do it with a guy and see how y'all like it. Because man, was that very explicit. Just how he like pushes his backside out, how he has like very much like come and do me pose when like through halfway through the transformation sequence, and that doesn't even get into the whole S&M side of him, which I'm not even going to get into that. But I give him kudos for like giving like all these super exposing outfits to the men, because you don't see that enough.
No.
Because it, like otherwise they would have given them like cool, like, oh, we're not going to show the bulge, we're going to give them like cool pants and whatnot, or like the crop tops and such. But man, is this show horny. Like, it is maybe a little too much at points, but it's also like not enough, because it's like y'all said, it's the first half of setting up the incident with the fights is not as interesting. I will say I do think some of the plots have interesting commentary. Like, obviously the second episode with the weekly dump is obviously a jab at Shonen Jump, because they said in the past that they only have male editors at their publication. So I guess you can see with no sign of subtlety what they're saying with that episode. I think the third one gets kind of like where it's interesting, because normally you don't go after the clients, you go after the people causing the clients harm. But the guy with the whip and the S&M fetish, he attacks the clients, and I thought that was an interesting turning point. And from what I'm seeing from like the future episodes, like the next episode's going to focus on the youngest one, the one with the green and the shorts that have the sides cut out. That almost goes into Shota territory.
I like that we're describing each of these characters based on what body parts are most visible when they transform.
I mean, it's like the main
guy and boob dude and bulge man.
Well, that's the distinct side of like these designs. like the main guy, the first one we see, you see his thighs. I'd never see male action characters look like this. It's just kudos. It's admirable with their attempt. But yeah, it doesn't fully work. I don't think everything meshes well, and I kind of want to see what happens and see if the commentary keeps going, or if it's gonna it's like it wants to capture you with its energy. But we'll have to see.
Do we know how many episodes the season is total? Because it seems like there's a pattern of like, they set up the 10 like fairy laws, and each episode is like tackling one of those laws. So do you think this is only going to like 10 episodes?
I think it's going to be like a 12 episode season, or 12 or 13 episodes. So I think it's just going to be a normal anime season.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like going past the first season would be a real hurdle, because I don't know how you can go far enough with a show that's already going as hard as it is.
Yeah.
And on that level too, like by episode 3, I was feeling like the sections where they find the people and the humans were getting a little strained. Like episode 3's plot would be interesting if it literally wasn't the first episode of Skip Beat with a twist at the end. And that made me more than anything kind of leery of where this might go, because I love how balls to the wall the second half of each episode is. The first half of each episode is playing it as safe as possible, and I don't think it's a tension that works.
Right. Now, we'll go to our final show of the season, or for this part, Shadow's House. I always want to call it Shadow House. I keep forgetting there's an S at the end of Shadows. It's set in this world where this aristocrats live in this huge mansion castle thing, and they are all they look like shadows. They look like if Peter Pan's shadow became 3-dimensional. Like, you can't see eyes, the nose, the mouth. They're like shadow puppets. Well, shadows. And they have all these little human, realistic looking dolls that represent them, work around the mansion, cleaning up the soot, because apparently all the shadow people are covered in soot and produce soot. And, well, first of all, let's get this joke out of the way. This is where all the resources went when Promised Neverland 2 Season 2 happened.
Makes sense.
Because this is made by Cloverworks. The writer is the same for Promised Neverland Season 2. So that's not really true, but come on. If y'all remember, if you all been following what the hell happened with Season 2 of The Promised Neverland, you'll understand. So let's see. Haley, what did you think about this show?
So this is I would say this is also one of my favorites of the season. This show looks stunning, has a really unique Victorian aesthetic to it. I think this does kind of the show where nothing happens for the first couple of episodes. It does that a lot better and builds a lot of tension well compared to something like Super Cub. I really like our lead characters, Kate and Emilico. I like that they both seem to be straining against the social system that has placed them together, where Kate is the shadow and Emilico is her face. And Emilico is too gregarious for her own good, and Kate's a little too angry and rebellious for her own good, but together they make a good pair. I appreciate that Emilico is boisterous and not super educated, but not stupid. She has a very vibrant emotional core to her. Episode 3 is where we start getting into the real meat of the plot, I feel like. We start learning about the dangers of shadows, the soot that emits from them. We see I'm trying to read my own writing, but I think it's Mia and Sarah are the kind of abusive pair. I don't remember which one destroyed the other's room, but the face seems like she's in quite a bad relationship with her shadow. And that opens up a whole interesting world as well. There's a lot of interesting class commentary here. This is another one where I feel like this could go off the rails if there's some twist, kind of like Wonder Egg Priority, where it's like if they don't plot this well, not nearly as much of a risk of Wonder Egg Priority because Shadow's House is not tackling nearly as serious ground here, but this could go off the rails pretty quick with one bad plot twist. But the sophistication of the storytelling leads me to believe that's not going to happen. Also, this has the best ending theme of the season, and I'm mad that Billie Eilish hasn't covered it yet because it's just a Billie Eilish song, basically. It's fantastic, though. Really fantastic. This is an extremely good show. That's it. It's just really wonderful.
Mike, what did you think about this show?
It took me a little while to get into it, but overall, I think this has probably one of my favorite like visual aesthetics. I'm really just intrigued by the whole like Gothic Victorian era designs. Like the characters are all fascinating. The dynamic between Emilico and Kate is compelling. I think this is another one of those anime that could probably benefit from an English dub and maybe put on Netflix, because there's a little bit of a like a dark supernatural element that really starts to come into play in episode 3 when we start to see these like shadow like gremlins or something.
Right.
Yeah, I felt like how like even like how they dealt with that was pretty creative. How their weakness is water, since they're pretty much monsters made from soot. But yeah, this is definitely one that I want to keep watching, because just like the mystery behind it is very compelling, and I want to see where the story is headed.
Yeah, no, this is one of my favorite shows from the season, and yeah, it's like what y'all said. Like, there's a lot of effort put into the world building and just the commentary, and when Emilico sees the other dolls and just how the other dolls talk, there's like layers upon layers of like world building and commentary throughout the whole show so far. But it's also like a really cute show. It's a cute show with a dark undertone to it, and it's really compelling because I didn't really know what to expect with this show going into it, because it's like, oh, here's a cool poster, I don't know what it means. And no, it's and I just like the dynamics between the shadows and their puppets, and I like the puppets and how they interact. It's definitely like one of the best shows of the season, and I'm really curious to see how this one unfolds. And so what did you think about Shadow's House?
Not what I was expecting, but a pleasant surprise. It reminded me a little bit of Black Butler, like in terms of the style. I was really enhanced by the soot element and function of that, and it kind of is in the background, kind of spooky, and then it kind of transfers as the episodes go along. So I thought that was it's just kind of a good angle to get you in. And I love spooky things and things like that. So just the atmosphere and the animation really made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, no, it's a very enticing show to watch. And I will say, when they were like showing the system of cleaning, of how the dolls get clean, they did not try to, be creepy about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was worried they would lean into the creepiness of that. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, it was yeah. Alrighty. Before we end, what would you say, like, out of the anime we talked about in this part, if you had to pick 5 to show people, which ones would you choose? Haley?
So I think Shadow's House for sure, Odd Taxi for sure. So the Vivi, Odd Taxi, Shadow's House are like the top 3 for sure for me. And then I Bakuten, and yeah, depending on who I was recommending it to, Pretty Boy Detective Agency, Pretty Boy Detective Club.
Yeah. Teresa, if you had to choose 5, which one would you recommend?
I think those are my 5.
Alrighty.
Hey, high five, Teresa.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! Alrighty. Mike, what about you?
All right, so my number 5 would be Bakuten. My number 4 would be Pretty Boys Detective Club. My number 3 would be The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent.
Ooh.
2 would be Vivi, and number 1, Odd Taxi.
Yeah, good choices. So obviously, I would choose like Super Cub and no, I'm kidding. Blue Reflection Ray.
But
No.
if you miss one anime, don't make it Blue Reflection Ray.
Hey, I mean, we're about to jump into some bad ones next time, so we'll have to see how that one ranks. But seriously, Odd Taxi, Bakuden, Dragon Goes House Hunting, The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent. Yeah, I can't speak today. And Vivi. Those would be my 5.
Nice.
I could easily go into 6 because
Yeah.
some of these are great.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
I was gonna say that was actually a difficult exercise. I think a lot of the worst we've saved for the next episode. And with the exception of one thing, all of these I feel like I could maybe recommend to someone. Like someone would appreciate the stupidity of battle athletes, I'm sure.
Yeah, or Fairy Ranmaru. I can see a lot of people kind of digging that one in its weird ways.
Mhm.
But yeah, that'll be it.
Next week, we'll be covering drama, which will include titles like High Hero, I Shaved and Then Brought Home a High School Girl, 86, Tokyo Revengers, and These Snow White Notes. In action adventure, we've got Combatants Will Be Dispatched, Seven Knights Revolution, The Hero's Successor,
Cestus.
Yes, Cestus, Roman Fighter, The World Ends With You, the animation, Mars Red, Jiran, The Princess of Snow and Blood, and
yes.
To Your Eternity. And then for romance/comedy, It's Too Sick to Call This Love, aka Koikimo.
Screw that show. No.
The rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose, and Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagataro.
So join us for the last hour of next week's show for all of the discourse.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But before we head out of here, Haley, Teresa, thank you guys for joining us. Haley, where can everyone find you online?
Still don't really have a whole lot of social media, but I am in the Renegade Pop Culture groups. So tag me beneath the link to this episode if you'd like to talk to me. Super happy to do that. I'm just really bad at, Twitter and Tumblr and stuff.
I understand.
All right, Teresa.
You can find me at Teresa Electro on almost every platform there is.
Nice. Cameron?
You can find me on Twitter and twitter.com/CamsEyeView, or I guess at CamsEyeView. I run my own website called camseyeview.biz, where I review animated films called The Other Side of Animation. I'm also I'm also in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'll post some animation related stuff there from time to time. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/CamsEyeView. If you like my work, you can support me that way. And that'll be it for me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. You can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, and everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.